Welcome to another episode of Well-Adjusted Mama. This is a podcast dedicated to educating and empowering women from preconception, pregnancy, birth, and through early motherhood on wellness lifestyle. I'm your host, Dr. Laura Brayton. I'm a maternity pediatric chiropractor and mother who has hand-selected experts in natural holistic healthcare specialties to shine light on options and choices during this exciting phase of a woman's life. Today, I have the honor of interviewing Josh Ford, who is the CEO and co-founder of the company HipTrain, and we're talking about how to boost your energy and create healthy habits on your own terms. Joshua is a CEO and co-founder of HipTrain and is the son of two teachers. He is passionate about creating more affordable and accessible services for people of all income levels. Prior to starting HipTrain, he was an early employee and served for 3 years as head of global business development at Candid, a venture-backed company focused on making oral health care more accessible and affordable. He previously led strategic partnerships in Latin America for Uber. He also worked for the White House, FIFA in both South Africa and Brazil, IBM, Endeavor, and the Gap Partnership. He has served on the board of trustees for the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership International, East African Children's Education Fund, the Dare to Dream Travel Scholarship, and the Broughton Travel Fellowship. Joshua is Fulbright Scholar in Mexico, where he researched entrepreneurship in emerging markets and was a Moorhead Kane Scholar in the honors program at my alma mater as well, University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where he learned his BA in Global Studies. Hi, Josh. Welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you on today.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
So today's topic, we're going to be focusing on boosting energy, which all new mamas are interested in, and creating healthy habits on your own terms. And I think that's really important because women, whether they're pregnant or new moms, especially if they have multiple children, time management is key and self-care is key, right? And it can be challenging to make it all happen, caring for little ones and then caring for yourself. But I know a theme of my podcast is mama self-care. And we, go over that over and over and over again, because when you want to give the best care to your family, you have to do it from a place of a full cup, where you've taken care of yourself to then be able to serve and care for those loved ones. So I'm excited for us to talk about this and learn more about what your story is and why you're also passionate about this topic.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And we are at HipTrain, we're maniacally passionate about helping people feel good about themselves, right? And get that self-care. And self-care is going to be a little bit different for every single person. And so we really believe that. We believe that it's important for our clients to, take time for themselves, to carve out, and everybody's busy, right? Whether it's with kids or with work or with caring for an elder, everybody's really, really busy. And I think you put it really well of it's hard to pour out for somebody else when your cup is empty, right? And so a lot of what we do at HipTrain is making sure that people's cups are full and finding out and carving out that time a couple times a week to lean in.
Right. So let's backtrack a little bit and talk about what is HipTrain and why you founded it and like why what's the story there?
Sure. So HipTrain is a personal training service, and we provide live one-on-one personal training sessions, all done via video conference. So you can be anywhere in the world to do them. And you can do it from your house, from your bedroom. You can do it in a gym. You can do it in a hotel room. You can do it on vacation. And all of that we do for just $6.99 for a 30-minute session. So our aim is to be the most affordable, most accessible personal training option really out there.
Wow, that's amazing. $6.99.
Yep, for a 30-minute session. So really less than the cost of a fancy Starbucks drink, you can do a personal training session with a certified trainer who's, again, they're there with you, they're sweating with you, they're putting together the workout, they're correcting your form, counting your reps, and really building a relationship with you. And I think that's a really, really core component of what HipTrain is we are a relationship-based service.
Right. That's so important because there's lots of apps out there, workout apps, and you can do it at home, but you're not necessarily getting that personalized attention. Your workout's not customized for your body and your goals per
Exactly right.
se. Yeah. So why did you start HipTrain?
Yeah, so we started HipTrain because we wanted people to be able to be healthy, and we started to look at like the core roots of kind of what prevents that from happening, right? And what we started to find was there's tons of exercise solutions and fitness solutions out there, right? And a lot of them are really, really good, right? There's, some really great gyms. There are, the big box gyms. There are the boutique gyms. There are the streaming services. There are the connected hardware businesses like a Peloton. But none of those are providing that one-on-one personalized workout, right? And so as your body changes, and I think this is really important for moms, your body changes, right? When you're pregnant and when you're postpartum. And so
Yes.
all of a sudden you are working with a body that's unfamiliar with you. And one of the things that we've seen is in terms of when we look at who our clients are, we do have a really high percentage of prenatal women and postpartum women who have come to us and said, hey, you know what? I, I need some help, right? And I need to relieve some stress, which we all know there's a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
I have a new body and I want to continue to work out, and I've worked out my entire life, but now I'm a little bit unfamiliar in the skin that I find myself in, right? Or other people who say, hey, you know what? Maybe I haven't worked out a lot recently, but I want to make this change and I want to demonstrate this behavior to my kids. And so we started HipTrain because we really looked out in the market and said, there is nobody providing affordable personal training, right? There's tons of personal training, right? And I've always said we didn't invent personal training. Like that's been around for decades and decades and decades, right? And if you look at the Hollywood stars or professional athletes or the billionaires and multimillionaires, all of those folks have been using personal trainers for years. It's just not been accessible on a regular basis for a quote unquote normal person.
Right. Okay, cool. So it's making it accessible. And I think also the ease and the convenience that you can do it anywhere, you can live anywhere, and also any time of the day, correct? So you can
Exactly
really
right.
schedule it at times that aren't necessarily common, right? But that's what works for your schedule, let's say.
Exactly right. And that's, I think particularly with people who are watching kids at home, that's really critical, right? Is that they can plan around nap time. And quite frankly, you don't need to get a babysitter. You don't need to drop the kid off somewhere. You can, and it's funny if you go on Instagram and see some of just our members who are posting videos, a lot of times their baby's with them, right? Like they've got the baby 3 feet away. And so they're on the ground doing, a plank or a sit up or stretching, and their baby is 3 feet away, and so they're able to be there. And obviously, our personal trainers are understanding. So if they need to take care of the baby at any point or run into the other room, like it's totally perfect how HipTrain works in that regard.
Right. Yeah, because that's back to the individualized custom. Sometimes you do have to take a break while you're working out
Yeah,
to take
exactly
care
right.
of the baby, and then
Yeah,
you get back into your workout, and there's that flexibility there, which is really important. Moms need flexibility. Because you can't, even nap time isn't always doesn't always go as planned, right?
exactly right. Exactly right.
The best intentions.
I did some babysitting for my nephew a few weeks ago and learned that the hard way that I thought that I had some free time, and unfortunately, it's not what happened. So, yeah, and I would say the other thing is at HipTrain there are no contracts. We're not trying to like lock you into a year-long contract, and so it's able to kind of we try to be as flexible as possible with our members, right? So we understand that you're going to wake up and your baby's going to have an ear infection and you're going to have to miss your class today because you got to go to the doctor, right? And we can reschedule that. And there's not, we're not out here trying to kind of penalize or, we're literally designed to be as personalized as it gets, from our customer service to the actual training that you get.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So let's talk about, we covered a little bit about why personalized training is so helpful for moms and some of those aspects, but talk about how this type of training is going to boost your energy, right? And how it's going to actually shift not only your exercise habits, but potentially other health habits in your life.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's a little bit counterintuitive, I think, for a lot of folks, where they say, hey, like if I work out, I'm going to be really tired after the fact, right? And I don't have so much energy. So how could I possibly do a workout? The research actually shows the opposite of that working out is an energy booster, right? And it gets, everything from hormones to provides adrenaline to the body, and you actually wake yourself up, and you do have more energy over time. And just getting physical activity is actually a really positive thing for energy. And so I know just personally, there are times where I'm working a lot or I'm traveling a lot for work, and I'm really tired, and my gut is like, oh yeah, just skip a day, right? Don't go to the gym, don't work out. But even just like going outside for a brisk walk, getting on a bicycle, a stationary bike for 30 minutes is a massive, massive help. For me, it's been my like secret weapon. I used to fly around the world a lot for work, and people always would ask, why don't you get jet lagged? And I said, there's two things. I drink a lot of water,
Right.
and I make sure that I exercise. And those are there's no drugs that I'm taking. There's nothing that nothing more secret than that. It's just that I'm making sure I get 30 minutes of cardiovascular work in, and I'm drinking a lot of water. And that's going to be like a magical piece of the puzzle for a lot of folks.
Yeah, I really highly agree with that. I think that is, people have no idea that just like sitting on a plane and not moving your body actually creates a lot of that fatigue and the dehydration component too that you just mentioned. So that is huge. And so I think these are, whether you're flying or not, these are good health hacks for daily living, to have energy and to be able to give. And I would say, yeah, if you are feeling tired, sometimes the last thing you want to do is exercise, but you're not going to regret it on the other side of it. It's going to boost your energy, and it's also going to boost your mood, right?
Exactly. And that's, for me, I was going to say the second part of this is the mental health perspective, right? We have a ton of clients who have said to us, hey, you know what? It's great. Like the physical aspect's great. I understand the benefits here, but really for me, it's the mental health, right? And I can say personally, it is absolutely critical that I work out on a regular basis for my mental health. And when I feel anxious and I feel off, it's always related to I haven't actually worked out, right? And so, when I go on vacation, I'm one of those people who I go to the gym in the morning, not because I necessarily need it or like have to have it for the physical perspective. It's so that I can relax the rest of the day and kind of stop that track in my head from just running rampant. And so it's a massive thing on mood boost, and just a massive thing to. And I think that one of the things that is really, really helpful with HipTrain is, you sign up and you say, hey, I want to work out 2 times a week, or I want to work out 3 times a week with a trainer. And you work out with the same trainer each time. And so you build this relationship where they get to know you, they get to know your dog, they get to know your kids, right? That you get to know their kids, and there's a real relationship happening. But what that really helps with is the accountability, right? It's so easy, and I know this for myself, to go a week and say, oh my gosh, I really haven't exercised this week, or now it's 2 weeks, or now it's been 5 months, and I like kind of just forgot. Like it just kind of happened that it wasn't an intentional thing. What HipTrain is really helpful with is that we're going to be there for you. You're going to have a relationship where it's on your calendar, right? And you can move it, and you can reschedule it, but you don't want to stand up a friend. And that's what these trainers become to people, are really close friends that you actually spend a lot of quality time with on a weekly basis.
Right. And they're an accountability partner, right? They're there to hold you accountable. You're going to exercise. You're going to get your sweat on. And I think it's also important, I know, especially for new moms that are, especially really, really new moms that are sleep deprived, still certainly recovering from pregnancy and birth, that workout does not have to be super high intensity, super grueling. Let's be gentle to our bodies as well. And it could be some gentle yoga, stretching, and movement without, anything too intense, that is going to still feel good in the body, and it's going to improve mood, but not like deplete too much a body that's already somewhat depleted.
I couldn't agree more, Dr. Broughton. I think, and that's something that I think people sometimes see the word personal trainer and they think weightlifting or burpees or really intense, someone screaming at you in the gym, right? Like that is not, if you want that, we can provide that, right?
Sure.
Like, and we may have a couple of clients that are in that realm, but that is not the normal personal training session, right? We have people who come on and do a 30-minute stretch, and that's what they're there for. We pair them with a trainer who has an expertise in mobility and flexibility. We have people who do meditation, right?
Yes.
And they're meditating with someone. We have people doing yoga, and they're doing one-on-one yoga sessions. And those are really great it's actually something I've taken advantage of with HipTrain is I am not an excellent yogi. I've probably done it a handful of times in my life, but I now do a one-on-one yoga session each week. And it's really, really helped me, with form, with not hurting myself, because I honestly just didn't feel comfortable going to a yoga session and trying to do what everybody else can do and not having, not having the mobility or the flexibility that they may have or the expertise. And so having someone guide me like little by little, it has been really helpful.
I love that. And, we do know that like people that are doing strength training, if they don't give enough time for stretching and that flexibility, they're very much putting themselves at risk for injury, right? So that flexibility, stretching, time for that is just as important as the strengthening component. Like they just are equally there, along with the hydration, right? Keeping those muscles loose and limber.
Yeah, 100%. And I think actually like one thing to note is, we have kind of a HipTrain methodology with, for all of our sessions, whether those are yoga sessions or more boot camp sessions, and they all include both a warm up as well as a cool down with stretching, because we understand just how critical it is to make sure that we're taking care of, our muscles and we're doing the right thing in terms of stretching to prevent injuries.
Yeah, and the joints and ligaments and tendons as well. They all need
Exactly right.
that movement. And that's important because I think sometimes people are like just in it for like, oh, I want to get my workout in. I want to, I only have 20 minutes, whatever. And then they just throw the stretching component out the window.
Yeah,
And it's
it's something that
like,
I've done
yeah.
100%. It's for years. I was, I was an athlete for a very long time growing up and a little bit into my adult life. And it was great, because it was kind of forced stretching, right? Where your strength and conditioning coach would make you do that. But then I kind of stopped stretching. And in my 20s, it was okay, right? I'm sure it wasn't good for my body, but I was not. And then as I got older, I actually started to see, like I really need to carve out time for stretching. And exactly to your point, I would say, okay, I've got 30 minutes on my lunch break. I'm going to quickly go do a workout and then jump from like the treadmill into the shower, no cool down, no stretching, and really feel the impact of that. And so for me, one of the things that I've learned is just like the importance of stretching, the importance of making sure that you're holistically good about it. Because the worst thing you can do is say, hey, I want to get in really, really good shape and throw yourself in and not take care of the stretching, because you'll be hurt and then you're going to get more out of shape than when you started. And you're going to be very, very discouraged by that.
Right. And I have another question. Like, just for myself this morning, I woke up and I was like, I need to get my workout in. My son's still sleeping. But I just really felt like I needed to meditate for 20 minutes instead of get on my spin bike. And that's what I did. So if somebody's scheduled to meet with their hip trainer and they're feeling like this is the modality or the thing I want to do for my session today, that can be kind of modified
100%.
on the
Yeah.
fly.
100%. And really, we believe that personal training should be modified on the fly, right? Like coming in with a set program, like, we're going to have a general program based on your goals and what you're trying to accomplish. But, there are going to be days where you wake up a little sick, right? There are going to be days you didn't sleep very well. There are going to be days where you wake up with a headache, right? This has happened to me a lot, right? Where like, we wake up and you say, you know what? I've got a migraine today, but I still want to do some meditation. I want to do some stretching. I want to do some yoga, but I'm not doing a push-up, right? Like there's no way that I'm going to do a push-up. And so, yeah, absolutely. Our trainers will adapt in the moment for folks.
Yeah, that's really important. Even for women, as we're having like our menstrual cycles, certain days of the month, we're going to have more energy to like give it that crazy, boot camp, sweat it all out workout. And then there's other days that we're like more into the, restorative yoga and being more gentle with our bodies. And I think that's really important for moms, pregnant moms, new moms, to listen to and be like, every day doesn't have to be the gung ho, give it our all day. And those rest days are important. That rest day could be like a restorative yoga. It could be stretching. It could be a foam roll, break from weight training, let's say.
Absolutely right. Absolutely.
So most of your clients, are they scheduled for 2 days a week or 3 days a week? Like what's the scheduling look like?
Yeah, on average, people do 2.5. So it's usually either 2 or 3. And it's totally up to you, right? We have some people who do 1 time a week, right? We have some people who do 5 times a week, right? So it is completely up to you and your schedule. So you'll tell us what day of the week you want to train, and what time. And then, like I said, we know that life happens, right? Flights will get canceled, kids will get
Right.
sick. Like we understand that, and your trainers will understand that, and we're here to help you get those sessions rescheduled, around your availability.
Is it always a 30-minute session, or could it be 60-minute or more?
Great question. Yeah, so we offer 30 or 60-minute sessions, so you can
Mhm.
also choose between those. And about 2/3 of people choose 30 minutes, and 1/3 choose 60 minutes.
Wow,
So,
that's
um,
fascinating.
yeah,
I'm just thinking back to years ago. Like I've had a personal trainer one-on-one for years, then took like a break during COVID, and just got back on the train myself, so to speak. But anyways, like especially if you're in person with somebody, they're not traveling to you for 30 minutes, right? Like that was never even an option. It was
exactly,
always at 60 minutes. That was like that's the standard thing. So
exactly right.
there's a lot of flexibility if, maybe one day a week you do have that 60-minute block, but maybe not 3 times a week. Like the other 2 days,
Exactly.
I guess some people might even do like mix it up on during the week, right? Some days are 30, some are 60.
Yeah, we have several clients that will do it like during their lunch. And so they'll do a 30-minute session for lunch, on Tuesday and Thursday. And then they maybe on Saturday will do a 60-minute session because, they're not at work. Right. And so, and I think your point around, 30-minute sessions weren't even possible when a trainer came to your house. And so that's, and I think that's the key is the other problem when you have a trainer coming to your house. I mean, it's great, right? But when you're not at your house, it's not so good, right? So when you're traveling, when you're seeing family, when you're on vacation, when you're traveling for work, like those are all kind of missed opportunities. And we do believe like having consistency is really important because it does generate habits, right? And we see from our customer calls that we do that like those habits then kind of have fruitful effects on other things, right? So it's not just the working out component, it's the eating component, it's the mental health component, it's all of these other things that kind of start in the cycle. And I think we've all kind of felt that where there are days or there are times of your life where you feel like you're firing on all cylinders, right? Like you're just kind of like floating at cruising altitude. And then there are other days where or times of your life where it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm not eating well, which means I'm not sleeping well, which means I'm not going to work out. And you get into this kind of like vicious cycle. And so it's a really interesting component. And talking about sleep quickly, that's one area that we've really started to see a lot of clients sign up and say, hey, I'm having trouble sleeping. And one of the things that's been recommended to me is regular exercise, right? And getting some regular exercise to like help me kind of in my sleep cycles.
Right. And I'm assuming those people are working out ideally more in the morning and not at nighttime.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and it's funny because everybody's a little bit different. I personally, I usually will start my day with a very, very light workout, right? And so that could be yoga, that could be stretching, that could be a walk, that could be, very light cycle. Um, but I actually prefer, and I've always preferred my entire life to work out really hard at night, and I have no problem sleeping, right? Like
Oh,
I will,
interesting.
I will do a boot camp, I will do a really exhausting thing at night. And when I say at night, I don't even mean like 6 or 7 p.m. I mean like 9 p.m. And so
Whoa.
like I'm kind of an outlier because I think that
Right.
generally the research says that that will probably affect your sleep. But for me, that's always been
It puts
kind
you to
of my
bed.
preferred workout. Yeah, my
Interesting.
preferred calendar. Yeah.
Well, to your point, everyone's individual. So, yeah, there could be trends and there could be things that are applicable for the majority, but we all have our own bodies. We all have our own rhythms. And that's what personalization is all about, right? Is really recognizing what works for you. And it may not work for the person next to you, and that's okay.
Yeah, and that's really like that's I mean that's the best way of saying it is that's why we started HipTrain, right? Because like I said, there are tons of other great companies that offer fitness solutions. They just don't offer this personalized solution, right? And we've just seen the impact, and that's across the board, both like being able to cater to your workout, your workout in real time, right, to how you and your body feel. Being able to put together a program that's for you, not for me, right? And really, I always said we've done over, we started HipTrain in September of 2021, so
Yeah,
so
it's
we're
recent.
relatively new, but we've done over 8,000 sessions since then, right? So we've really done a ton of sessions, and what I'm really proud of is that like none of those sessions have been the same, right? Like nobody gets like the same exact workout, right? If you were to sign up right now, you're going to have your own workout that nobody of the 8,000 have done because you have a different body and you're going to have different goals, and it may be in the same methodology, but it's going to be catered to you and your body and where you're trying to go.
I love that. So if somebody is interested in signing up, I know you have like maybe like a questionnaire to help them
Exactly right.
specify who's the right match for a trainer. But what about the goal component? How do you support them in identifying and getting clarity around what their health goals are, and then how do you track the progress around those goals?
Yeah, great question. So, yeah, some people come in and they have a very clear, this is what I want, right? But a lot of people come in and say, hey, like, I want to be healthy,
Right,
right?
right.
And I'm not exactly sure what that, what the form that will take, but, I'm here and I need some help, right? And that's totally fine, right? And that's normal and totally fine. And then you'll work with your trainer, right? And your trainer will get to know you on your first session and will ask you some questions and they'll, do a bit of a diagnostic to see what you can and what you can't do, what you like to do, what there are going to be workouts where I don't really like doing them, right? Like I just don't. And so I'm not going to be all that motivated to show up if you're going to keep making me do this workout. Where there are other ones, like, for example, I've really gotten into like kickboxing and boxing. And so my trainer has started to put together these kind of like high energy, and I'd much rather do that than go for a run, right? And so for me, like I've kind of like shifted how I work with my trainer on that respect. But so yeah, some people come in with very clear goals, some have kind of more nebulous goals, and so you'll work with your trainer to kind of land the plane there and understand what your goals are. And that may not just be the first session, right? Like your goals may change as you work with your trainer, right? So there are going to be times where you say, "Hey, I'm trying to gain muscle," right? And sometimes people are going to be, "Hey, I want to gain muscle in my left leg because I've had an injury and I've been favoring my right leg and I need to build that up," right? Or they may say, "Hey, I want to lose weight. I've put on some pounds and I want to lose weight." But then at some point they're kind of say, "Okay, look, I don't want to lose any more weight. I'm where I need to be. And so I'm going to work on flexibility. I'm going to work on something else." And so your goals are going to shift a little bit. And so your trainer and you will kind of, help you set your goals and then we'll track through. And again, the benefit here is you are never out just floating in the ether, right? Like you're constantly meeting with your trainer and working out together. And so I think that's the other thing that we really believe in is it's not just like an email or a text message that says, "Hey, Dr. Broughton, how's it going?" Right? Like, are you hitting your goals? Right? Like you are spending quality time with your personal trainer. And if you think about how many people in your life you spend an hour or 2 hours a week with on a video call,
Yeah,
it's very, very few people, right? Like,
yeah.
if any, right? Like, or even in person, right? Like, get away from the video call, but like, how many people do you really spend every single week 1 to 2 hours on a video call where there's no distractions, right? Where you're just talking back and forth and you're working out together. And so our trainers actually have great relationships with their clients, and they know everything from they got engaged to like they had their
Right,
baby to where they go on vacation. And so it's
right.
actually kind of fun to see when you talk to customers because they talk about their trainers as if they're just like childhood friends.
And potentially almost like a therapist. I know. I mean, it's like trainers and hairstylists. Like they sometimes get dumped on, right? But it's like venting, and that's part of health is just having a sounding board to be like, oh God, this is what's going on in my life right now, and I got to get off my chest, right?
It's
Physically
funny
and
you said that.
verbally.
It's funny you said that. We had I just did about a month ago. I did a client a member discovery call where I talk with our members for 15-20 minutes, and I just try to get feedback on how we can do better as a business, how we can better serve them. And this lady said to me exactly what you just said. She said, "I've always joked about wanting to go to the hairdresser on a more regular basis, right? But my hair doesn't grow fast enough. And
Right,
so it's just like, I can't go every week." But she said, "It's been the spot where I feel most comfortable. I just talk about everybody in my life. I talk about good things, I talk about bad things, and nobody knows who they are. And like, I go home and I feel like $1 million, right? And I don't even care what my hair looks like, right?" And she said, "HipTrain has become my hairdresser that I get to go to twice a week, right? And so I just come in and I just talk, and my trainer just listens, and my trainer has no idea who these people are. When I
right,
talk about my husband, when I talk about my kids, when I talk
right.
about my mother-in-law, like they don't have any clue who these people are, but it's just a sounding board for them." And I think you're absolutely right. Like as we talk to both our members and our trainers, we hear this over and over and over again. And it's actually something we look for in our trainers, right? So in order to be a trainer, we're looking for that, not just like they're certified and they know how the body works and they can provide the physical component, but do they have the relationship approach? Do they have the EQ needed um, to be a trainer and to be that quasi therapist for folks? Because you're 100% right. these people really do, kind of get the dump of someone's life. But, and again, both positively and negatively.
Yeah, it goes both ways, but it's like, an opportunity to like you share, and it's a safe place, right? Like, cause it is anonymous, and,
Exactly.
it's not like they actually know these other people in your life that you're
Exactly.
you need to talk about.
And it's funny, like it's actually one of the benefits of being fully remote and fully virtual is
Right.
they're not going to run into them. Even if they did run into them in the real world, they wouldn't know who they were. Like they don't know what they
Right.
look like, right? And
Right.
so
Right. But they potentially live like in another part of the country, or
exactly, yeah,
do you have
yeah.
international clients as well?
We do have some, and like I said, our aim is down the road really to service the world, because I think everybody needs this, and I think that everybody, and it's interesting, like talking about mental health and talking about the therapist component here. I think that for a lot of our members, of course, they like the training, they came for the physical fitness piece of it, but I think they stay because of like it is a friend, right? And that trainer becomes someone that they trust, someone they care about, and they have this just relationship with them that's a special relationship, right? It's like it's interesting. Like it's very common for personal trainers to be at someone's wedding, right? And to be invited to the wedding, to be, on the holiday card list, to be given holiday, they're kind of part of the family. And that's been
Yes.
always the case. And so it's been interesting for us to see at HipTrain that even though they're not in the physical, they're not with each other physically, they still have that bond and that relationship. And, even when someone cancels, it's so interesting to watch our like customer service tickets, because people don't just say, "Hey, I can't come." They say, "Hey, my kid is sick. I'm not going to make it today. Can we reschedule for whenever? But hey, can you please tell Daniel, like, I say hello and I hope he's doing well. And I hope that like his dog who's sick is better." Right. And they tell us all this information. I was like, oh my gosh, like, it's not just, hey, help me do a sit up, help me do a push up. It's something much deeper than that.
Yes. Yeah. And that's back to the relationships. For me, the magic in that is, the personality connecting, right? So I guess it's possible if somebody starts with a trainer and they just don't click, right? Can they just request to maybe try another trainer?
Absolutely.
If
Yeah. 100%.
like you said, that person might know what they're doing, they got all of that, but it's just not like feeling like a friendship.
100%. Yep. And that's, I will say that's the other benefit that HipTrain has, is because we have we have like a ton of trainers, right, that work with us, right? And so we're able to provide you with another trainer at the same price points, and you don't have to just, the hard part in the real world, right, is that you get to go and you find a trainer and maybe you don't click, and it's really kind of hard to find someone, right? And
Yeah,
you need to
it
keep
is.
trying, and it's their availability might not match up. And so for us, we can guarantee that they have passed through the HipTrain methodology. But to your point, like maybe they don't click, or maybe they're looking for someone who's a little bit tougher and really wants to be tough love, right? Or maybe they're looking for someone who's less tough and wants to be kind of, unconditional love. And so we absolutely are able to kind of repair folks if that happens. It happens very infrequently because our concierge team does a really, really good job, but it does happen, and we're happy to make the change for folks.
Yeah, and that is convenient because, like you said, if it's a live personal training session, it can be like harder to break up, so to speak, with that
Yeah.
person, even if
Yeah.
they're new in your life. And then it's
Yeah.
like nobody wants to just like, oh, I'm going to keep going to this person so I don't hurt their feelings or whatever. No, it needs to
Exactly.
be mutually beneficial. What about couples that are at home, if that are like, hey, we want to work out together?
Yeah, we have a lot of couples. And it's funny because when we started, it was never kind of in our like mind that this would be something that couples would want to do. And then we started to see a lot of couples,
If they're
and
both working from home, let's say they're like
yeah,
same
and or they
spot.
do it at night, and it's interesting. We've done some of these customer discovery calls with them, and it's fascinating what we hear, right? That it's kind of become this like special date night on the calendar where it's like, hey, make sure you're home by 7 because we've got Damien tonight, right? And we're going to work out with Damien, and and just to be clear, we don't charge anything extra for that, right? So the pricing stays the same, and so it's not about, hey, can we make more money off of couples or anything? It's the exact same price for couples as it is for an individual.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, great. I can see also why, there's that extra accountability that when you're doing it with a partner like that you live with, that you're going to keep these, it's about creating habits, right? And, I love what you're saying. And I really do see this too in my practice when patients are making that first shift of like, I'm not feeling well. I want to feel better. I need to make changes in my lifestyle. I got down this vicious cycle. How do I get out of it? For example, maybe they just start coming up for chiropractic adjustments. Then they're motivated to exercise and they're motivated to make better health food choices and to give themselves 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and just all of these little pieces that all go together that optimize health and healing can come from that one piece. But when it's really like, okay, I'm valuing myself, right? I'm self-love and I'm worth it and I deserve to feel good. And when you start to feel a little bit better, you're like, how else can I feel even more better? And how else can I feel even more better? And it's like, it's that positive cycle. You get out of the downward spiral and you start headed up.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's like, I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it with our clients. I've seen it, over and over and over again. And it's a really, honestly, it's one of the most rewarding things about my job at HipTrain is seeing folks come from, I know I'm off, I know I need some help, to like, not only am I working out 3 times a week, but I'm eating much better. I took a vacation for the first time in 3 years. I'm doing this, this, and this. I'm calling people, I'm calling my old friends. I'm, rekindling relationships. And you really do see this, to your point, like positive cycle starting to form with people. And then it's just really fun to see people have that like take off, right? And really just say, wow, like they are flourishing, like they're living their best life.
Yes.
And I think like when I think about why I love what we're doing at HipTrain, it's that like our job is to help you live your best life. You define what that means for you, right? It's not our place to define that, right? And so if that's stretching 2 times a week and listening to some music while you do it, perfect. If that's, getting yelled at a boot camp situation and training for some Spartan race somewhere, perfect. If that's doing Pilates and whatever that definition is in your mind and in your life, we're here to help you achieve that.
I love that. And, as people are living their best life, guess what? It's contagious. Your partner, anyone around you, friends, family, people that are close to you in person, your children are going to feel that and they're going to want that too. And I think, as moms, especially as our children are getting older, we're modeling this healthy lifestyle, right? So our children are going to want to eat what we're eating on our plate. So is it broccoli or is it processed food, right? And so we're creating healthy habits for them as well. And seeing that mom makes physical activity a priority in her life, they're going to want to get out, get away from the screen time, ideally, right? Our kids need to move their bodies just as much, if not more than we do. Ideally, even outside. Oh, what about outside fresh air? You could bring your phone outside and if it's a nice day, get a good workout in the great outdoors.
I've started doing that. Yeah. So I'm
for
in
a
New York
hike.
City.
I
So
mean, yeah.
I've started doing it. The weather's starting to turn. It's beautiful outside. So yeah, I've started to do my sessions outside and it's amazing, right? Like it's so cool to have fresh air, to look at the water and do that. So yeah, absolutely. You can take it, anywhere you can take a phone, you can do a session. So super, super easy. And I think what you said about modeling behavior is a really important point. We actually have some clients who are, who invite their 5-year-old or their 7-year-old or their 14-year-old or their 16-year-old to actually come to their session, right?
Yes.
And so and just like with partners, being able to come and move around and actually make this a fun thing where it's like, hey, working out is not just like pain, right? And
Or
I think
work.
Exactly. And it's not just like, and maybe we need to change the name working out and get rid of the work part because,
right.
It could just be, dancing around, listening to music like that. That's a very, very healthy thing to do, right? It can be yoga, it can be meditating, it can be all of these different pieces that I think that, and I've seen this with my nephews of just like you say something and all of a sudden like they start saying something, right?
Yes.
And you're like, well, how do they know that word? You're like, oh, well, I taught them that. Like inadvertently, I accidentally taught them that. Or, like they have no idea what the word means, but like, they just like saying it because it's fun, it's a funny word for them. Or they, I did a workout the other day and my nephew was here. And like, sure enough, my nephew's like on the ground trying to do a push-up, right? And like, he's 2 years old, can't really do a push-up, right? But like sees it and just models that behavior. And so I think there really is something powerful about that. And, our trainers love when kids come. Like, that's a really, really rewarding part of the job. And, a lot of our trainers have kids. And so they understand. And, every once in a while, one of their kids will run into the room, right? And you'll see their kid. And so I think that's the other thing is um, it's not the intimidating judgment that you sometimes will get at a gym or in a workout class with people who, I think a lot of people feel, and they go to a workout class and they say, hey, I'm not as good as everybody else in here. I don't really know how to do this. And there's like that intimidation. And so, and that prevents people from doing this. I think one of the things that we provide is just like, you can do this from the safety and the security of your home, right? And none of your friends are going to see you. Nobody's going to be like posting you following on Twitter or Instagram. Like, you are in a very, very safe spot with HipTrain.
Right. And, that feeling of judgment is a real thing, and it can really create a roadblock in someone, taking action. I had a mom in my practice just a few weeks ago who was like, okay, I'm going to get back to working out, and went to, I don't know if it was a bar or yoga class, something like that. And she's like, it was a bunch of 25-year-olds wearing, sport bras. and tights, and was feeling a little bit self-conscious about her mom bod, right? And I'm not quite sure if she's going to be going back to that class because she didn't feel comfortable in her skin there, right? Even though she was like, it was so great that she was making that first step. It's like, if it doesn't continue, then it's not really, creating that habit that she wants.
Yeah. And I think that, like, when you look at the research and when we talk to our members, that's a common story, right? Of people saying, hey, I've kind of talked myself up. I'm ready to do this. I get in the car, I go to the gym, and then it's not exactly how I thought it was going to be, right? Like, I'm surrounded by people who look in like incredible shape, right? Or I'm surrounded by people who are younger than me or older than me, or people who know what they're doing or don't know, like, whatever that is. And so I think that's where, like, we really want to meet you wherever you are, right? And we have people who are former Olympians who are training on HipTrain, right?
Oh, wow.
We've got people on that end of the spectrum. And then we've got people who have said, you know what, I've never worked out ever, right?
Oh.
I did my like physical education classes in elementary school and middle school because I had to, right? But like, I don't know anything, right? I don't know anything. Please, like, teach me from zero how to do this. And then we obviously have everybody in between. And
Right.
so I do think that, unfortunately, a lot of people feel really intimidated and discouraged. And that's why I think you have so many folks join a gym and then 2 weeks later never go back.
Right. And so that's an interesting thing. January, is like when people have these, New Year's resolutions, and, certainly in-person gyms get huge surge in membership. But it doesn't typically sustain itself past February, right? So have you seen a different trend that when people start, they can keep going and they don't drop out as easily?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the funniest things I learned, and I learned this recently, there's a day that gyms have called Quitting Day, and it's January 12th.
Oh, it's not even February. They don't even make it a whole month.
Yeah, they don't even make it a whole month, right? Because a lot of these have like a free week or free 2-week trial. And so January 12th is kind of when that, like, the cliff happens and people fall off of it. So yeah, and quite frankly, there are perverse incentives, right? Gyms just want you to sign up for an annual contract and pay them and never come, because then there will be enough room for everybody, right? And they'd love to oversell the gym and have 1,000 people sign up when you only have room for 30, right? And just hope that nobody else shows up. For HipTrain, it's the opposite, where there are no annual contracts. You're not locked into anything, right? And we're incentivized to have you work out. And so we do see people who start, and generally, if you start with us, you're still working out with us, right? And that's one of the most amazing parts of HipTrain for me, is we're actually able to see these healthy habits continue, not 1 week, not 2 weeks, not a month, not 2 months, not 4 months, but like, now that we've been out in the world for 6, 7, 8 months, we have a lot of people who have been with us for 6, 7, 8 months, right? And they continue to be with us, and they continue to say, you know what, this is a critical part of my life, and I'm not leaving.
Right. Yeah, they see the value. Awesome. Well, Josh, do you have any last thoughts you want to share with the audience?
No, I think I really enjoyed the conversation, so thank you for having me on. And the other thing to note is that we offer everybody a free week to start. So we don't even ask for your credit card. We want, again, our whole mission is to make this as accessible and as easy as possible for folks. So if there's anybody out there who's listening and saying, hey, like, still not convinced, like, try it out. Like, don't listen to what I say. Like, absolutely make an informed decision and give it a shot.
Where do they find you guys?
Yeah, so you can just go to hiptrain.com. So it's just HIPTRAIN.com, and you'll easily see the sign up form. Will take you 2 minutes to fill out, and then you'll get paired with a trainer, and you'll be off to the races.
Awesome. All right. Well, very cool. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Bye. I'm so excited to announce that I have multiple courses now available on my website, drlaurabrayton.com/courses, where you can find my documentary on my pregnancy and birth experience. It's a very personal, insightful, and empowering documentary that talks about all of the information and education that I share with women over the past 2 decades in person in my chiropractic practice that I was able to then put into practice during my own pregnancy and birth experience with my son, Finley. He was born in 2017. I also have completed the preconception module for the Broughton birth method. It's a 12-week program with 4 bonus weeks that is loaded with information and content that you can do at your own pace to really prepare you and your partner both physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually for the upcoming pregnancy and parenting. I also have an environmental detox, which is a snippet of the preconception module available. And I wrote an ebook on fertility. So I hope you take a moment to go check out drlaurabrayton.com/courses. See what I have available. It's really exciting to get this information at a larger scale, and I can't wait to hear your feedback.